This broadcast is brought to you by Colby Brooks with Century 21 Right Pace Real Estate and buyfrombrooks.com. Let Colby Brooks handle all your real estate needs. It's time for a look at the news on NEA Report, starting with a Cedar Heights shooting that took place early Sunday and some information that's come out since then. An arrest, more suspects, more victims, and what exactly happened to the victim who was shot, not just through the arm, but into the torso too. We'll have a full update on that coming up. A break-in suspect caught on camera over the weekend and looked straight into the camera too. But a lot of vehicle break-ins taking place, meaning if you help us catch this guy, you could help us catch someone responsible for a lot more than what we've already seen. Also, a lot more crime reports from over the weekend as well. We'll tell you what happened across Jonesboro and across Northeast Arkansas as NEA Report starts right now. Let's begin with a story that's been developing since early yesterday morning, and we do have some new information on it tonight on NEA Report. We'll start out, though, at 1:45 a.m. in the Cedar Heights area, early Sunday morning, December 15th. It's when gunfire erupted yet again in an area that's no stranger to that stuff. A 29-year-old male victim hit this time with at least one bullet. A gunshot wound to the upper left arm through to the inside left arm into the left torso, and it appears like that was all from one bullet. It's described as a possible major injury. I don't have his condition right now, but he was taken to a nearby hospital, and the investigation began by the Jonesboro Police Department. As they apparently were looking into what caused this, they found, according to the report, it was an argument. But it wasn't just one victim listed in the report. Several were apparently also present and considered to be victims in the case, including several children. A 12-year-old boy is listed in the report, another child whose age is redacted, I think by accident. Here's what the report itself says. Authorities responded to the 1800 block of Cedar Heights in reference to shots heard. They noticed an officer running through the alleyway towards 308 State Street toward a bunch of screams. The officer that responded, Tracy Williams, followed behind Officer Howard, located a black male that had been shot in the left arm and what appeared to be the left rib cage. The officer returned to her vehicle, grabbed the med kit, returned to Officer Howard's location. At this time, officers began to show up and assist as they were rendering aid to the victim. They were doing their best to try to save this guy's life. EMS left the scene, and then the investigation began. Officers located a large amount of blood behind the 1800 block of Cedar Heights. They forced entry into a residence where they located two black males that were unsure of what was going on, with supervisor approval due to the conditions, with the blood being there. Once the resident was cleared, they allowed the occupants to return inside of the residence. It was a watch that began in the alleyway until detectives later were able to close off the scene and begin their investigation. And not long into the day, a suspect was arrested. Steve DeJean Clark was arrested and placed into custody of the Craighead County Detention Center around 2 p.m. He's going to be charged with first-degree battery, criminal contempt at his probable cause hearing this week, according to the release from Jonesboro Police. You're looking at the release along with his photo right there. We don't have an update on the victim's condition. We also are looking at some of the potential charges he may be facing, and they include first-degree terroristic threatening, discharging firearms within city limits, terroristic act, possession of firearms by a certain person, in addition to the first-degree battery, which would be a felony charge. And I saw somebody ask online, why not make it attempted murder? It has to do, and I don't know that it won't be amended to that, but it has to do with the situation and the evidence of what it meets, and first-degree battery is a very serious charge. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's a felony charge, so he's not going to get off light, I would say, by any stretch of the imagination, at least from what we're seeing right now. We don't have exact information on what started it, and much of the report is still masked. It did say that there was some kind of argument that took place, right? That there was some sort of argument that happened. Several of the pieces of evidence included a gray iPhone that was logged that belonged to Steve DeJean Clark. Another arrest was also reported at the scene. A 35-year-old black male that was arrested. I have his name, but I don't have the allegations or the charges that he was arrested on. And I'm still waiting to hear back from JPD as to what took place there. I want to be careful before I put anybody else's name attached to a report like this, because that may have been the individual that was at least briefly taken out of their residence, or at least one of the people taken out of their residence. You heard about that report there, JPD making entry. If they see blood, especially a large pile of blood next to a residence, they can make entry without a warrant in an emergency type of situation, and that's what happened there. Nonetheless, we're going to keep following this. There's several witnesses. There's several victims. As I mentioned, a child victim listed in this. But the suspect, also known as Stanley Williams, Lil Steve, or as his real name, Steve Deshaun Clark, 27, he's now in custody. And we know he's going to be facing several serious charges. We'll keep following this story. Yet another instance of violence in the Cedar Heights area. Jonesboro Police Department looking for the identity of this man getting out of the car right there. That did not belong to him. Neither did what is in his hand, which was a flashlight that he stole from that vehicle from Andrew Barker, who posted this to Facebook. And you'll see the suspect go for a second vehicle right there. He tries to open the door, but it appears to be locked, and he walks away. I'll show you this video a few times, and then I'll show you some close-ups of the suspect. Several vehicle break-in reports were taken over the weekend. This one that you're looking at, this took place about 12:34 Sunday morning. Of course, we're talking about December 15th. Early Sunday morning. The report was taken later in the day on Sunday. It was a Streamlight Stinger flashlight that this guy has in his hand. He took out of the vehicle. You can also see as he's getting out of the vehicle, let's just pause it for a second, a white belt. His underpants are hanging out. He's got a pretty tight hoodie. He's a slimmer dude, and it appears like he's looking right at the camera. It's almost like he knows that he's caught on camera. There's a couple of other close-up photos of the suspect. You might be able to have a better idea of who he is. Jonesboro police would really like to know, because not only was this report taken at the 1800 block of Kendall Street, but several other vehicle break-in reports were made over the weekend. And if you're watching the video, you can easily tell this guy does not seem to have a lot of hesitation with his actions. In fact, he looks pretty comfortable, doesn't he? So maybe he is a professional at this. Maybe it was his first time, we don't know, but let's make it his last time if we at all possibly can. Some of the other reports that were taken over the weekend for breaking and entering happened on Wildwood Lane, and these all took place, the ones that I found, they all appear to take place early Sunday morning, which is when this one happened too. It kind of makes you raise your eyebrows a little bit. A similar report taken on Wildwood Lane, that was at 10 o'clock Sunday morning. Another report taken a little after noon on Markle Street. Then another report taken at White Dove Circle at about 1:15. This report itself was filed at about 3:10. But as I mentioned, it was early Sunday morning. People finding out later in the day stuff had been stolen, or their vehicles had been broken into, or attempted to be, at least, as you can see right there. Sometimes it's not always successful on the latter half of the video, but in the first half it was. 870-935-5657. That's the number for the desk sergeant at Jonesboro Police Department. You can also call 870-935-STOP. That's the number for Crime Stoppers. Yes, there may be a cash tip available for you, or cash reward, if you are able to provide a tip that leads to the arrest of this guy, whomever he may be. Or you might just be able to prevent another vehicle break-in from happening, which could be to you. And that might be more worth it than anything. It's tough to see, but it looks like there's some kind of trim around the edge of the hoodie, around the edge on the close to the face. Can't really tell, though. But those underpants, dude. Pull up the pants. 870-935-STOP. Let's help out JPD on this one. If you've ever ordered something online and waited for it to come in, you know, there's a little bit of a thrill involved in getting something that's delivered straight to your front door, kind of like a present. But the thrill is gone when someone steals from you, and that's what happened Sunday in Jonesboro, after an Amazon delivery package was stolen right off a woman's front porch. The 2000 block of Bell Street is where this took place. She reported she ordered a Michael Kors purse from Amazon. She got a picture that it had been delivered to her front door, but when she went to get the package, it was gone. And then, later on, the woman said she had heard about a black male named Derek that lived on Cedar Heights trying to sell a black Michael Kors purse. We don't know if perhaps police were able to track down that person, but they did get a photo of the purse. I believe it was the photo Amazon had sent her. It didn't really say, but we're just going based off that. Not sure what's going to happen in this instance, but of course it's a crime that's being looked at. However, if you get something delivered perhaps something to consider is that you might have people scouting around for these vehicles and perhaps looking for their next target to steal. Now a case in Jonesboro being investigated by police where the mother reports a case of discipline may have gone too far. The mother reporting that discipline was by someone else, by a 31-year-old female suspect that's now being investigated for a possible misdemeanor second-degree assault case. The 8-year-old child, according to the report filed Sunday with Jonesboro Police Department, was disciplined, but marks were left on the child, apparently enough to warrant her filing a report with police. As I mentioned, it's a misdemeanor allegation that's being investigated right now, and we're leaving all the names out of that, most of the names redacted anyway, but as authorities continue to look into that, we're going to give them a little bit of leeway on that since it's vague as to what may have happened and the extent of the injuries. One report that does appear to be very concerning was made in Jonesboro over the weekend, an allegation of rape reported by a female. The allegation was made against a male suspect. Both were 18, and the allegation made on the 15th reported the incident the early morning hours of Saturday, December the 14th. There's not a lot on this yet, and there wouldn't be, of course, as authorities continue to investigate it, but a tragic case, a report made over the weekend. Several recent fatal wrecks have been reported across northeast Arkansas. We want to tell you about a couple of those now, including a weekend wreck that happened on Saturday. It was late Saturday night, about 9:39 in White County, when a Porsche man, Scott Hilburn, 50, was struck and killed after an accident that had taken place previously that ejected him from a motor scooter. The report stated that he had walked into the inside lane of traffic and was hit by a vehicle while as a pedestrian. That's Arkansas State Police's report, by the way. Another report from Thursday evening in Craighead County, an 80-year-old passenger, Carolyn Kendrick of Jonesboro, was in a vehicle that turned off of Highway 63 onto Craighead County Road 118. At the same time, another vehicle was traveling and hit it and struck the vehicle. It killed the 80-year-old woman. Our thoughts and deepest condolences are with everyone involved, family, friends, and others in these accidents. Thanks for joining us on a very cold, nasty, wet day across northeast Arkansas. We appreciate everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing to NEA Report and supporting local news, even if you're not doing it with us, whether you're subscribing to a newspaper or just perhaps helping to make it happen, watching a newscast every night and supporting the sponsors that support them. Hey, that stuff really does help. Trust me, it's important to what we do in our democracy. Become a supporter, 99 cents. You get exclusive headlines delivered every morning, and I'm not talking about the, well, let's just say they're serious headlines. We make sure that we break it down and give it to you as it is. They're not going to waste your time. I'm Stan Morris, and you're up to date from NEA Report. Have a great night, everybody.